Community update. Information on Measure A. What is Taft's Measure A? On August 3rd, the Taft City Council unanimously placed Measure A on the November 2nd municipal election ballot to address the city's current fiscal crisis and to prevent cuts to essential city services. If enacted, Measure A, the City of Taft's Essential Services Protection Measure, would be a locally controlled 1-cent sales tax to provide funding for local city service needs, such as public safety and public works services. Local city service priorities Measure A would address. Through robust community engagement, residents recently identified the following local city service priorities: retaining local businesses and jobs, maintaining 911 response and preventing property crimes like thefts and burglaries, maintaining the number of firefighters and preventing cuts to fire and paramedic services, maintaining the number of police officers, keeping public areas such as Veterans Park and rails to trails safe and clean, preventing and preparing for wildfires and structure fires. Official Measure A ballot question. City of Taft Essential Services Protection Measure. To protect Taft's long-term financial stability, maintain police, fire, and emergency response times, number of police officers and firefighters, repair streets and potholes, keep public areas clean and safe, help address homelessness, retain local businesses and jobs, and other general city services. Shall the measure be adopted establishing a 1-cent sales tax providing approximately $1,600,000 annually until ended by voters, requiring public disclosure of spending, audits, all revenues benefiting Taft residents, no money for Sacramento. Why now? Over the last several years, Taft has lost nearly $3 million due to Sacramento's burdensome regulations and state money grabs. If enacted, Measure A would increase local control over our own local funding and will allow us to continue to be self-reliant by protecting our money from state or federal governments. With the 2 prisons closing, extreme state regulations on the oil and gas industry, and the economic downturn caused by the coronavirus, the city is facing a financial crisis. Without Measure A, the city will be forced to make cuts to critical services such as 911 response times and neighborhood police patrols. Fire protection services. There is currently a significant concern as the cost of fire services with the Kern County Fire Department will double within 5 years. Without Measure A, the city may have no choice but to reduce fire protection and paramedic services, increasing 911 response times and jeopardizing the lives of Taft residents needing life-saving emergency medical assistance. Local funding only for Taft. Residents of Taft pride themselves on being able to make the right decisions for our community. Measure A will allow Taft to have local control over our own taxpayer dollars to ensure more money stays in Taft for essential local services that can't be touched by Sacramento or DC. Measure A accountability and transparency. Measure A includes strict accountability requirements including annual independent financial audits, performance reports. Both will be available online. Measure A is not a tax on your home or property. Measure A does not apply to prescription medications or food purchased as groceries. Voting information. For more information about Measure A or voting in Taft's November 2nd municipal election, including the full text of Measure A, visit www.cityoftaft.org. For more information on voting and voting procedures, visit the Kern County Register of Voters at kernvote.com. The city does not advocate a yes or no vote on Measure A. This presentation is provided for informational purposes only.
So Vice Chair Livingston, I'll hand it to you to
Open the meeting?
chair the meeting.
Okay. Well, let's see here. Welcome to the City of Taft Planning Commission's regularly scheduled meeting for Wednesday, October 6, 2021. It's at City Hall here in Council Chambers on 209 East Kern Street, Taft, California. Effective June 22nd, 2021, Planning Commission meetings are being held in person with full capacity seating and are also being live streamed at https://www.youtube.com/user/City of Taft. Okay, masks are required to be worn by all attendees. Public comment can be made in person and also can be received per the following. Written comments may be dropped off in the drop box in front of City Hall. Comments may be emailed to the city clerk at ymayfield@cityoftaft.org. Made by phone to the city clerk's office at 661-763-1222. Public comments not made in person will be accepted up until 1 hour before the meeting, and any comments received will be read into the record. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And I'll just go ahead and do the salute and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And, I'm sorry.
Kathy's going to lead the invocation.
Oh, is she? Okay, Kathy.
Father, we thank you for the opportunity to serve this community, and we ask your blessing on this meeting. Give the commissioners wisdom as they make these decisions. And Father, we just ask your blessing on our region, and especially as we go into El Dorado, for your protection, and that you just release joy over this community. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Madam Clerk, can we have the roll?
Chairman Oren is absent. Vice Chair Livingston.
Here.
Commissioner Dowden.
Here.
Commissioner Johnson.
Here.
Commissioner Lycan.
Here. And Commissioner Oren is now present, so he will be taking over the gavel.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well,
I apologize.
citizens' request for public comments is next up on the agenda. Comments are to be received as stated in the above policy. This is the time and place for the general public to address the commission on matters within its jurisdiction. State law prohibits the commission from addressing any issue not previously included on the agenda. Commission may receive comment and set the matter for a subsequent meeting. Limit comments to 5 minutes. And do we have any public comments?
No.
Okay. So we're going to move on to the minutes of the last meeting. And we'll need a motion to approve in a second.
Motion to approve as submitted.
I'll second.
Okay, are we doing these on a just voice vote still? Roll call, okay. Well, then please call the roll.
Vice Chair Livingston.
Yes.
Commissioner Lycan.
Yes.
Commissioner Dowden.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
And Chairman Oren.
Yes.
Okay, well, item 3 has already actually been presented. We did that as the, prior to the opening of the meeting. So we are now at the public hearing on item 4. Site plan review for number 2021-11, new SoCal Gas modular office trailer.
Thank you, Vice Chair Livingston. As you mentioned, the item before you, site plan review number 2021-11, is a proposal by Landscape Dynamics for SoCal Gas, proposing a new 2,160 square foot modular office trailer to be permanently installed at their 8-acre existing maintenance facility with an outdoor break area within the industrial zone district located at 27680 Gas Company Road. The proposed project is located on the existing maintenance facility property, as I mentioned, containing approximately 12,000 square feet of office and warehouse buildings and approximately 7,500 square feet of open covered structures. The existing surrounding industrial zone land uses on all sides include the Kern County Mosquito and Vector Control District to the north, vacant industrial vacant industrial and natural resource zone properties to the east and south, and industrial uses to the west across Gas Company Road, which is the Black Gold Cord Industrial Park. SoCal Gas Maintenance Yard has 2 access driveways off of Gas Company Road. The proposed new 2,160 square foot modular office building is proposed to be located near the rear of the site, and just to help, because I realized the agenda didn't have it as well. The map on your in your staff report, this site, as I mentioned, is 8 acres in size, and they're locating in this dirt patch on the rear of the property. The modular office building will be installed permanently with a pier and tie-down foundation and anchoring system. The office will include 2 accessible restrooms. The office will also include 2 points of egress, one from the north as the main access for the new parking being provided, and a second access point to the south of the building. Project will also provide a paved outdoor break area to the west between the new and existing office buildings. New low water landscaping will also be installed with shade trees along the north and south elevations of the office. Taft zoning regulations, chapter 14, table 14A identifies office uses as requiring to provide 1 parking space for every 250 square feet of office area. The 2,160 square foot building is required to provide a minimum of 9 parking spaces, of which 1 is a handicap accessible space. The project plans show 5 new spaces provided, of which 2 are handicap spaces with 1 space as an electrical vehicle charging space. The SoCal Gas property includes existing office and warehouse buildings and covered parking structures for fleet vehicles. Considering the existing buildings and proposed office building, the property is required to provide at least 57 parking spaces with a minimum of 3 as handicap accessible. The project has been conditioned that the building permit submittal include a site plan of the entire facility showing all existing parking spaces and compliance with the minimum space requirements per the Taft zoning regulations. Again, as you can see with the aerial, there's a number of existing parking spaces to the north. These are those covered, either they are covered parking for employees or their fleet and maintenance vehicles. And then there's other spaces throughout the site where spaces, the 57 spaces may be provided. So the condition is included in your resolution where the building permit for placing this trailer would need to show the 57, or if the square footage numbers are a more accurate square footage number provided, would show a lesser or greater amount required. Because with the warehouse spaces, it's a 1 per 1,000. So I believe these are their warehouse spaces, so that may reduce the parking burden, but there isn't any issue in being able to provide the required amount. So I've placed that as a condition of approval. The applicant, Landscape Dynamics, submitted their site plan review application back on August 30th. And as the project was found to meet or exceed the development standards of the industrial zone district, the project was moved forward to the Planning Commission for review and approval. And there is a table on the second page of your staff report showing those metrics. With regards to CEQA, the project is exempt from the requirements of CEQA as set forth in section 15301 of the CEQA guidelines related to existing facilities, which allows small additional square footages within that exemption, and the 2,100 square feet is below that level. And again, with that, just to point out where specifically on the site is, as the vicinity map that's provided in your staff report just shows the property a little more zoomed out, and it just highlights the entire 8 acres where the 2,100 square foot office building is going in this dirt path area. With that, I'll conclude my presentation. The applicant is here for any questions during the public hearing period of this item.
If I'm reading this right, it looks like they're going to be tearing out the trees.
Yes, there are 4 new trees, I believe, on the north and south. Yes, so there is a landscape plan included in your staff report. It's the plan is labeled five
Yeah, I see it there. Okay.
5-6. So it is a partial demo of trees and other existing site conditions, and then grading it to accommodate the trailer. There's a retaining wall, as there's a bit of a slope on the site as well. And then installing new trees along the north elevation, and then particularly the south, that will provide the shade for the office and the break area.
And then I can assume that the 40 numbered spots here are the ones that are already existing parking
Yes.
on this map that you gave us?
Yeah, you have the notch to the north, which is adjacent to the vector control.
Right.
Adjacent here, and then the ones along this area.
Okay. So those are existing, and so they really only need to add 17 more
If it isn't already provided in some other
in one of
manner.
these other, okay. I don't have any other questions. Does anybody else have questions?
None for me.
Yeah, I've got a couple. Will the site be incorporating solar? Any solar panels?
That is not required by the building code just yet. The building code is requiring that on all new residential, so the newer permits for the last year and a half now at Sandy Creek Estates, those have been installed. But when it comes to commercial, that's not required up front.
Right. I noticed it also has EV charging stations. Is that Tesla or non-Tesla or?
I would believe it's universal, but that is a question for the applicant when you bring them up.
We'll bring him up in just a second. We're still in the point where we're asking questions of our planning director.
On this plot map, it says that the existing spaces are 34 spaces, that the 35 through 40 are the new.
That's correct.
Proposed one, and that would be the new electric charging and a handicap, right?
That's what's being showed, and when we have the applicant answer specific questions, he can provide the detail on the new spaces.
Unless we have any more questions for our planning director, I'm going to open the public hearing. And I'm sorry, I don't know your name. Greg, please come forward. If you've got any questions for the applicant, now's the time to ask him. But first, we'll give him a chance to give us any comments he'd like to make prior to.
Sure. I don't know what the long-term plans are for solar power for the property, but I do know that SoCal Gas has made efforts on other facilities as they do improvements to bring solar in. So I know that every project we do with them, we take environmental steps forward even when they're not required. For example, on this project, the small planter area on the north face of the new building is functioning as an infiltration swale so that the stormwater that comes off the building goes into that planting before it runs off the property as it normally would, even though it's not required for that. And then as far as the EV stations, the gas company right now, because they have a mix of personal vehicles and fleet vehicles, there's an internal study going on for them right now, trying to determine what the best solution is for them. But we're working with the electrical engineer to develop that we have the correct amp draw available to handle whichever system that they select. So they're looking for the flexibility amongst fleet and personal vehicles of their staff.
Now, just curious, the EV charging station, is this something that's required or just something that's optional that you're just doing?
So two things. One, our company ran into this issue in Riverside County. They're starting to require it under the new green building code is my understanding. And also the gas company is adding them company-wide to all their sites. So this was kind of a preemptive move towards the new green building code as well as a company issue that they're looking forward at.
Okay. Any other questions for our applicant?
I was just curious on those charging stations. They would be able to have personal vehicles charge off it?
Yes, that's the goal, and I'm not sure how. I see what you're saying. I don't know if that how it works there. If it is for personal vehicles, if they have to pay or anything. If I'm anticipating the question correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would have to take that back to them. I don't know that. So.
Yeah, I just didn't know.
That's
The
up to each
charging
individual.
station,
they would
this
want to.
building doesn't, the charging station here allows personal vehicles.
It doesn't, it's basically free.
Every conceivable option. I'm not trying to give a political response, but it's every option is usually available to any given station where for free, various rate scales. There's even one way where you can limit any single charge to a 3 or 4 hour duration because typically these are the mid-range ones where they're fast. A full charge would take 5 to 8 hours, but to in a way prevent folks from hogging a particular station, they'll stop charging after 3 or 4, and if you get to 80% or whatever, so be it, and that incentivizes the next person or them to leave and the next person to charge up. So I would anticipate this to be as universal as possible, so both personal, fleet, and any other could charge there. The Teslas are very unique to their car brand, and each of the other car brands also have a unique charger, but the universal ones tend to be that mid-range and have that universal plug near the driver's side door.
Yeah, there's a significant upside in terms of cost when you go from the mid-range to the high speed.
And it's not just the charger itself, your electrical system panel that supplies the power to that station as well. So there's a lot of factors into it, and we'll review their electrical plans that go with that to make sure it's appropriate, but it's their elective choice to place that charging station on the site.
It brings up one question. Has the average distance electric charge allows a car to go changed much? Last I heard, it was still around 80 miles, which kind of makes it a nice deal, but unless they're going to be using the cars right around the Taft area or letting their own people use them, it's...
Some manufacturers are up to 300 miles on a charge now.
Some are? Okay.
And
Is that
also
a,
as a little FYI, the universal charger, many automobile companies are encoding their cars not to accept universal charging.
okay, just curious.
Sounds like it's an ever-changing
Yes.
service.
Yes,
So,
or lack thereof.
yeah.
Seems like we're off the subject
Yeah.
of your
Yeah.
building.
Yes, well, no, I was just,
My question for you, and this is just curiosity.
Yeah.
Do you have any CNG fueling? Do you have compressed natural gas for any of your vehicles or fleet?
At this site, I'm not sure if there's a natural gas fueling station. They do have them at other facilities, yeah. So,
Seems like you're in the business, you ought to do that, but.
yeah. No, and it does, because I know they're adding it to, we've been on sites where they've been adding it, and they add new rows of parking inside for fleet vehicles, and they have slow filling and then fast filling methods, so a lot of their trucks are on the slow fill methods on their other bases in Oxnard and Anaheim and a bunch of other sites that we worked at. So I will take those questions back and see what their plans are.
It's a
yeah.
curiosity,
Yeah.
nothing I need feedback on, it
Yeah.
just,
no, and in fact, it won't affect my vote either.
Okay, yeah, I know they do have a lot of natural gas vehicles in their fleet, so, yep.
So any further questions?
that's none from me.
Well, in that case, I'm going to close the public hearing and ask the clerk to call roll.
Did we have a motion?
Oh, pardon me, do we have a motion? Yeah, I guess need a motion and a
A
second. don't
motion
we?
to accept resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Taft approving the plan review of number 2021-11 to construct a 2,160 square foot modular office trailer to be permanently installed on an 8-acre parcel located in the industrial zone district at the existing Southern California Gas Company maintenance yard at 27680 Gas Company Road.
Do I have
Second.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Now I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Vice Chair Livingston,
Yes.
Commissioner Lycum,
Yes.
Commissioner Dowden,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson, yes, Chairman Oren.
Yes. Good enough.
Okay, we'll be moving on to the planning director report.
Thank you, Vice Chair Livingston. 2 items. The first one is the obvious one. Oil Dorado is here. It's been here, the store has been open, but day one is Friday, so enjoy it. everything's approved and cleared, ready to go. You will see some various maps post up, in different places. We have one in our lobby right now that we worked with Oil Dorado to put together kind of as best of a consolidated map to show where all the various events are and the times, but look for their stuff posted at their store for the exact times and locations for the various items. And their website is actually really good this go around. All the events are listed, the graphics for all the, I don't want to say smaller events because reunions are important and all that, but everything that they could think of that is going on during the 10 days is listed there. And then the second item, I've been mentioning it since our first workshop of the downtown Taft specific plan. I was promising a end of October workshop number 2 date. That has been pushed 2 weeks. It is Wednesday, November 10th at 5 p.m. And you will start to see some city website and other flyer posting and advertising through the chamber's Tuesday email blasts, the city website, social media for the city, and then you'll see some publications in the Driller as well to make sure we get a good turnout. This will be the in-person workshop at the Oil Dorado Room at the Taft Transit Center. So we will have plenty of room to get in our groups and go over some of the scenarios. All 5 of you are invited to attend. We'll just keep all of you separated as you will be there as Taft residents, not Taft planning commissioners. It's just a workshop for the project, not a scheduled meeting for the 5 of you. And the same goes for the council and any other staff that will be assisting us. But we're looking forward to presenting some of the land use scenarios that came out of all the comments we put on that map at the last meeting and also at the workshop. So, so that's November 10th at 5 p.m. Oil Dorado Room. And that's
Great.
it for my director's report.
Okay. No city attorney today, so any commissioner comments? Okay, hearing
I
none.
have one.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, in regards to Oil Dorado, I was contacted about helping Kathy and Chuck on getting cars for the parade. And she just needs a head count on who's gonna be in the parade from the planning commission.
I said yes, so,
So all commissioners, please notify our
I've been
deputy city
requested
clerk.
to not.
You will not
She
be there?
is,
Yeah, we have out-of-town relatives
Okay.
visiting, and
And so-
Kathy would like me to,
so you're their tour guide?
yeah, tour guide. I was gonna say corral them. They're not that type, so.
So he'll need a big vehicle with a lot of seats.
I was gonna say, would you like to have everybody in? I can get a Suburban, so.
Have everybody hanging out one window?
Snake bed.
So three of us then.
but for all commissioners, council members, and any other city folks, our clerk's office, both our city clerk and deputy city clerk, are taking the head counts to anybody who's needing a vehicle, and if you are wanting to be in the parade, we are, Oil Dorado is taking the head count through our clerk's office.
Okay. So you got me as a no? All right. Thank you.
And we thank Chevrolet for providing the vehicles.
Absolutely.
Want to say thanks to you, Mark, for staying on top of this downtown business that we're doing. With all that goes on, I know it's difficult to keep track of that. So,
Any other comments?
Yeah.
and I'd like for us to all be mindful to keep an eye on what's going on in your community and in your state and what's going on in your country, because this is really going to affect us. And we need to be proactive. Go to your school board, come to the council sessions, speak up and be heard. Otherwise, there's no excuse. You have a responsibility. Thank you.
Mark, on that city workshop, did you say November 10th or 11th?
10th, the Wednesday.
Isn't that our meeting? Is that our meeting date?
No,
No.
we're November 3rd.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I made sure to avoid that because I have other meetings on that date as well.
It's a pretty busy day, isn't it?
Yes.
So any other comments, questions? In that case, we'll move on to identification of the representative of the city council.
Actually, Jerry.
Anybody else want to do it? If they do, let me know. If not, I'll be happy to perform the function.
Kathy will eventually, but not right now.
Good enough for me. I'll do it then.
And I do every once in a while, every 2-3 years.
Yeah, of course, whenever you've got that one day off.
We used to have it on a rotating basis, and then we got Jerry.
And everybody went, that's a good idea. Okay, having identified myself as the representative of the city council, it's time to call for an adjournment. So any
Motion
motions?
to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.